and welcome to the Speaker Series presented by the Entrepreneurs Forum, your weekly destination for rich insights and dynamic conversations with industry experts. Join us every Thursday as we delve into the world of business and innovation through the exclusive online series hosted here on Zoom. Our forum is designed to be an outlet for professionals and enthusiasts alike, providing a unique opportunity to learn from guest experts who are leaders in their respective fields. Each session is carefully curated to bring you the most valuable and up-to-date information, fostering an environment of learning, networking, and growth. These conversations will not just be a one-time presentation. The conversations will be transcribed and published in the bi-monthly issues of the Bellwether magazine, a lifestyle and financial magazine for entrepreneurs. If you feel you may be a good fit to be a guest, please apply through our guest speaker application in the link we'll provide upon completion of each episode. Our series consists of 4 different weekly hosts. The first one is the Financial Canvas with Boris Blum, where he discusses financial insights and navigating the complexities of finance with experts who will share their knowledge on investment strategies, marketing trends, and financial planning. The second week is Radiant Resilience with Jessica Karwat, discussing how to boost your business by prioritizing your health. You will discover the latest in wellness trends, mental health strategies, and lifestyle tips and more to maintain balance in your entrepreneurial journey. The third week of each month is Tech Horizons with Cassie Millhouse. Stay ahead of the latest technology trends with discussions on emerging technologies, digital transformation, and innovative business solutions. The fourth week of the month, the Marketing Maverick with Fritz Collinet. This is where you will learn from the best in advertising and marketing as they reveal secrets to effective branding, digital marketing strategies, customer engagement, and much more. This is more than just a forum. It's a community that can be joined on LinkedIn, where ideas flourish and connections are made. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, our speaker series is the perfect platform to enhance your knowledge, expand your network, and inspire your entrepreneurial spirit. Like I said, this happens every Thursday, and the link will be provided upon registration. You can register now to secure your spot and be part of this exciting journey of learning and growth. We look forward to welcoming you to the speaker series. So let's embark on this journey of exploration and discovery together. And stay tuned at the end for a very special announcement. So today we are excited to present the host of Radiant Resilience, Jessica Karwat. Jessica is a women's health coach, vegan nutritionist, avid speaker, and traveler. So hi, Jessica, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's great to have you. So can you kind of tell us what got you started on this journey?
Yeah, sure. So I feel like health always played a big part in my life, in positive and I would say maybe more negative ways. I've definitely been through a journey of ups and downs through health, and I feel like everyone kind of has their own little journey that they've been through. And so for me, it really started at a young age when when you're a woman and you're very receptive of the things that you see and body's images and all of that kind of stuff. That's kind of how it started for me, where I, started working out. I started looking at nutrition and just really wanting to understand what is it that I'm putting into my body? How am I moving my body? How do I want to feel and look like? And all of these things. Over time, I actually did develop health issues, and I would have digestive issues. I would have an unhealthy relationship with food, which would trigger a lot of other things that kind of started happening in my life. And so after some time, I realized that health is not linear. And that was a time in my life where I thought, I just need to work out harder. I just need to eat healthier. And that's when everything's going to be resolved. And that wasn't the case for me. I realized when I started to work with women and men as well, that it was the same issue for them, that it wasn't just eat this and train like this, but there was more underlying things that were going on that they weren't aware of, and I wasn't aware of at that time. And so I decided once I already started working as a coach for someone else, I went a little bit deeper into the route of what is health really? How does trauma affect us? What is hormonal health? How do our emotions affect us? Mental health, all of these things that I believe are oftentimes overlooked. And that's kind of how it all started. And, as I said, I've had all of the issues. I had digestive issues, hormonal imbalances, acne, an eating disorder, all of the things that I think are not spoken about enough. And they have had an impact on my well-being, my performance at work, how I showed up as a human being, and obviously also the money that I made, right? It was all connected and I didn't realize it. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, and people don't realize that health and wellness is just such a broad topic. There's so many different things that affect your health and your wellness. And when you think about holistic health, what springs to mind for you?
Holistic health springs to mind for me. It's that it's not linear. I feel like a lot of times when we look up to like fitness trainers or nutritionists, oftentimes health is presented very linearly, which means here's your meal plan, here's your training plan, that's it. But a lot of people do know what we're supposed to eat. Like we all consciously know an apple is healthier than a piece of chocolate. Like we all know that. We've been taught that in school. Why do we still choose that piece of chocolate instead of that apple? That to me is health, because there are psychological, subconscious things going on that oftentimes as humans, we are not aware on a conscious level, right? The things that we have learned, our behaviors, the programming that we've been under since we were children, all of that affects who we are as humans and the choices that we make. So health to me is not linear, it's holistic. It includes all of the aspects of what really makes a human a human. And that's why, I do what I do, because I've realized that, and that has been a struggle for me for so long. And that's why I think we need to see health as all of these aspects and not only see it as one thing, but really make sure we're covering the whole spectrum.
So why do you think it's important to dig deeper than just diet and exercise and consider things like thoughts, feelings, traumas, and hormones?
Yes, that's a lot. So let's break it down. So let's say we start with hormones first. For my ladies here in the call, we all know if you're in perimenopause, menopause, or you currently still have a menstrual cycle, we all know we women have a menstrual cycle. And the thing is, with a menstrual cycle, it doesn't only mean that we have a period once a month, but our hormones are constantly fluctuating throughout the month, which means our energy changes, our cravings change, our mood changes, the way that we should be eating changes. All of that changes in our bodies. And I'm sure a lot of women know how they feel when they're about to approach their period and they feel hungry and tired and maybe bloated, and all of these things that are showing up because your hormones are fluctuating. So that is one aspect that I oftentimes see is overlooked, especially in women's health, when it comes to hormonal balance, when it comes to health. Because let's say, yes, I could give you a meal plan and I'm telling you, follow this calorie intake and all of these meals for a month. And all of a sudden you eat all of these meals and you're hungrier and you have all of those cravings. And you're like, what is going on? I need more. I want more. And then oftentimes what happens is we start to speak to ourselves as a failure, and I gave up and I couldn't keep up. But ultimately, it might have just been hormones that were telling you, you need to eat more. You need a different type of nutrient. You need to rest more, right? That is one example. Now, you also asked about the thoughts. Now, our thoughts every day will dictate the life that we live, right? If you are in business, if you're an entrepreneur, if you do mindset work, you know this stuff. But I feel like it's not been translated into health as much as I think it should be. Because we know, okay, if I want to become a millionaire, I know that I need to be this person now today and embody that person today and have the thoughts that Elena would have in order to become this person, right? We know this if we do mindset work. But the same thing applies to health. And if we wake up every day and we look at ourselves and we're like, oh, I'm in pain. You look at yourself in the mirror, you're like, oh, don't like what I see. And we say bad things to ourselves instead of creating the healthy, radiant, you that you want to be, you create the opposite. You keep creating the thing you don't like, that you don't want to see in the mirror, right? So that is the other important aspect. Now, on top of that comes trauma, comes emotion. Any traumatic experience that we've ever had, and every human has some type of traumatic experience. And I think trauma should be redefined as well, because oftentimes it feels like a very heavy word to talk about, but every person reacts differently to situations, right? So whatever you've been through, for example, you and I, we could have the same experience. It can cause trauma in my body, but it might not cause trauma in yours, right? So every person reacts differently to situations. And so let's say, I've had a traumatic experience as a 3-year-old child, and I haven't processed that trauma. My body keeps a score. My body remembers, right? My body hasn't been able to process it. And so the choices that I make, the thoughts that I have, the things that I experience it a lot of times through the lens of what happened 20, 30 years ago. And so it's really important to also do this type of work, because as an example, if you are struggling with your health, and let's say it's weight, right? I feel like weight is a very common thing. A lot of people are on the weight loss. They want to diet, they want to lose weight. I feel like it's very common. Let's say your entire life, your parents have told you, your family has told you, your friends have told you that you're just chubby, you're big boned, and it's so ingrained in you that it becomes your self-image. It becomes who you are. It becomes the type of person that you think you are ultimately. And then 30 years later, you're like, I want to change this about myself. I no longer want to be this chubby person, the person that everyone thinks of, that I'm just, the heavier person. That needs reprogramming. That goes into you need to go into a deeper state of understanding why you got there in the first place, and change the way that you start thinking about yourself. So it's not only the things that you do, but it goes deeper than that. It's about how you start thinking and how you start speaking to yourself, and reprogramming those thoughts and working through these traumas. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it did. It did. And the mind is a very powerful thing. Like you said, if you try to keep those positive thoughts, and if you start off a positive way, it's the law of attraction. So you're gonna attract those positive things that will happen the rest of your day. So really those thoughts are very, very important. Now, how do you see all of those aspects playing together in that grand symphony of well-being?
So let me tell you this. When I started coaching people, I initially started with nutrition and training. Okay. And I saw these people failing. Not all of them, but I would say 90% of people had a hard time just sticking to a plan. And then I started having conversations with these people. And the one person was telling me, this experience caused this experience caused me to feel like this is happening in my life right now. I need to stop working on my health. I don't have the time right now. I realized that it doesn't come down to solely the actions that we take, right? And I think I answered a big part of that already, the question before. Everything is connected. Everyone has a different background. Everyone's health journey is individual. And that's how we should be looking at ourselves. Because oftentimes we try to follow something that is super generic, and there's nothing worse. I think we can all attest to that. We've all probably experienced something like this, where we want to try something, we want to do something, and we fail. And it creates even a bigger feeling of, oh, I failed, failure, I can't do this. And it creates a spiral of more of the things that we think we can't do and can't achieve. So rather of going that route is understanding that, you know what, we can take it step by step, but everyone needs to work on something else. So with my clients, I started understanding they need the mindset work. We need to heal those traumas. all of that was the reason why they were holding on to weight, why they were, midnight snacking, when they weren't hungry, but they were just emotionally overwhelmed and they were stressed and they were feeling all of these emotions that they couldn't really deal with. And they didn't know how to process that. And food became a coping mechanism for that. So instead of giving them a meal plan of being like, eat this and have fun losing weight, the meal plan didn't do its trick. They needed to heal those emotions. They needed to learn how to process emotions differently. And then they naturally started eating differently, and naturally the weight was melting off. That's pretty much, I hope, how, what you ask.
Yeah.
About
And, a lot of people find that there's so many health things. Eat this, you'll lose weight. Eat this, or you don't eat this, it's bad for you. Or run 15 miles, you'll lose weight. How do you keep it simple and effective?
I love this question because you know what? I think on the one hand, it's great that we live in 2024 and there's so many options now and so many diets and so many things that you can do. But on the other hand, I think it overcomplicates things a lot more. It makes things so much more complicated than they actually have to be. Health is really simple if we allow it to be. I never teach, obviously I am vegan. That is my philosophy. I would never push it on anyone else. I don't think you have to necessarily follow a vegan diet to be healthy. That's just what I personally do for myself. But when it comes to nutrition, I don't think you have to cut out all of your favorite food, because the more you restrict yourself of having your favorite food, the more you will want it. If you have ever told yourself, I'm not going to eat sugar for a month, what were you doing? You were craving sugar and thinking about sugar all the time, right? That's a natural way of doing it. So instead of restricting yourself in your health journey, asking yourself, what can I add that will help me feel better, right? So instead of saying, I'm not going to eat this chocolate bar, ask yourself, can I eat an apple today that's going to add to my nutrition rather than taking it away? Another important thing is like sleep. Sleep is oftentimes overlooked, and I truly believe a lot of issues, health issues, could be solved if we prioritize sleep. Yeah. But then people think, oh, 5-6 hours of sleep is enough. Obviously, everyone is different, but 5 hours, I think is not enough, right? Everyone has their individual needs, but then we try to fight against the sleep deprivation with finding ways of getting a natural boost of energy by doing a HIIT workout, by drinking a lot of caffeine, by finding superfoods and all of that stuff, which ultimately I do think could be resolved if we just slept more and prioritize that. Things like sunlight. So many of us, we are in front of screens all of the time, right? I think if you're an entrepreneur and you have an online business, or even if you don't have an online business, we are constantly inside in front of screens. Getting sunlight first thing in the morning can have such a huge effect on your well-being, on your energy throughout the whole day, right? These small little things, drinking enough water, hydration, making sure you eat a variety of plant-based foods, lots of nutrition, right? Vegetables and fruits and legumes. Movement is something that I think also we see it more and more people are moving less, more and more people are not doing enough. And I'm not talking about the 2-3 hour heavy workout at the gym. I'm talking about, can you go on a walk twice a day for 10 minutes? Can you incorporate that? It's not only going to clear your mind, you might have new ideas for your business. You might have new ideas. Like, I get my best ideas if I go on a walk. I'm like, oh my God, I'm having all of these creative ideas and I need to write them down. Or like listening to a podcast, being on here and going on a walk, right? Tuning in and listening to something that you can educate yourself on and moving your body. Try to incorporate something fun if you feel like, oh, I don't want to move today. And being like, okay, if I go on a walk, what can I do in those 10 minutes that it feels rewarding to me? Like listening to your podcast, listening to your favorite music, calling your friends maybe, and maybe that walk is even going to be longer than 10 minutes, right? So again, more simplifying, more adding rather than taking away, and finding all of these complex ways of making health even more complicated, in my opinion.
Yeah, and kind of like if you feel as an entrepreneur, you're too busy, you can't squeeze it in, like you said, multitask. So make that call while you're walking. That's the beauty of Zoom calls and all that, now you can be on the go. As long as your Wi-Fi reaches, you'll be good to go. But that does help you to, like, now you have the time, make the time. If it's important to you, make sure to make the time.
Exactly.
So how can, so it's a new year, everybody's thinking of new goals. What do you suggest to someone creating a health plan that's not just going to last maybe a day or a week into the year, because we're already a week in. Most people have already dumped their New Year's resolutions already. So, what's a practical, doable action plan for that?
Mm. I think before I ask this question, as you were talking, I think a lot of times when we, as entrepreneurs, business owners, people who are ambitious and want to achieve big things in life, you already have that in you, that you're hardworking. You already have that in you, that you're consistent. You already have that in you, that you want to get somewhere. Apply that to your well-being too, in a way where, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, we have our big why. We know why we're doing this. We have a vision in front of us. We are like, I want this because this is important to me for some type of reason. Can you see yourself the same way? So for example, if you have a health goal, I'm going to take the weight loss example because I think it's the simplest example. Let's say you want to lose 20 pounds. Why? Why is that important to you? Is it because the number on the scale really matters? Or is it because you want to have more energy to play with your kids? Is it because you want to go on weekend trips with your family? Is it because you want to have a better relationship with your partner? Is it because you want to have more energy working on your business and being able to show up as the best version of yourself? Like, I think visually and energetically, like, we are more likely to be attracted to people who have great radiant energy, right? And so you're going to be that if you take care of you. So really asking yourself, first of all, what is your big why? And I've seen this a lot, that people go on health journeys and they have this random goal in their mind. They're like, I want to this, but there's no emotional connection to it. Connect emotionally with your goal. Visualize yourself every day connecting to your why. The things that you're going to do in your day will be so much easier to achieve and so much lighter because you already have connected emotionally, with why you're doing what you're doing. So that is what I want to say first. I think a lot of times, when we step into the new year, it's the perfect time to do that. So if you haven't done that yet, my invitation is for you to sit down and ask yourself, why? Why is it important? And one exercise I do with my clients is the 7 whys. So you keep asking why until you have your final answer. So until you feel like this is the thing finally that truly makes me feel, gives me butterflies and makes me feel excited, right? Now, in terms of starting your health journey in 2024, I think what's really important as well, and you see this with people, is they set unrealistic goals, right? So as entrepreneurs, again, we might be very busy. We have a super busy schedule. And so we look at our calendar and we're like, okay, I start work at 8 a.m. and I finish at, let's say, 6 p.m. Now, if you beforehand say, I want to work out every day for an hour, eat healthy, go to bed at 9, make sure I still have enough time to spend with my partner and all of these things, when you look at your calendar, is that realistic? Do you think you can work out every day for an hour, go to bed at 9, spend time with your partner, eat healthy, and do all of those things? Realistically, maybe yes. But after a week, you're going to be like, oh my God, I can't keep up. This is too much. Right? Like, we've all been there. We've all been like super ambitious. And we're like, I want to do all of the things. And then you're like, this is too much. I'm exhausted. So instead, asking yourself, what is one thing that realistically I can put into my calendar, I can put onto my plate that feels like easy? I'm going to feel a sense of accomplishment, and that will create a ripple effect. So let's say you start your day every day with 10 minutes of light movement. What I mean, it could be a quick yoga session, a quick stretch. These 10 minutes set you up for the day. You're more likely to do better or to make better choices throughout the day because you spend those 10 minutes moving your body in the morning. You've done that. Maybe you're going to choose a healthier breakfast. Maybe you're going to choose a healthier lunch. Maybe you're going to go to bed earlier because you're excited to start your day the next day with 10 minutes of movement. Do this for a week, 2 weeks, until it's truly become part of your life, and then add a new thing. Small thing again, being like, every morning I start my day with a protein shake or something like that, right? Do this for a week and then add again. This way, it doesn't feel like you have a million things to start all of a sudden. It's called habit stacking, right? So you do something for a while until it becomes easy, achievable. Once it feels light, you add something on top. Does it make sense?
Yeah, don't overwhelm it. Don't take on too much at once. Yeah, keep it simple. And emotions carry a lot of baggage, and make a heavy load. So how do you view that connection between unresolved trauma and weight or hormonal health?
So I'm gonna first touch on women for a second. We see a lot of women that have had some type of traumatic experience in their life, or have had maybe a difficult childhood, or something happen that has caused them to have a lot of stress, because trauma is a stress response, right? In that moment. We see a lot of women that have had some type of experience like that have hormonal health issues. They either way have PCOS, endometriosis, cysts on the ovaries. There are many things that women can have. So we see that link a lot of times, and I've seen it with my clients. I've seen it, one of the questions when they tell me, I have PCOS, I have endometriosis, I ask them about this stuff, and they're like, yep, this and this happened. So there's a connection. I've seen it, in real life, and you can see that with women when you speak to them and you really get to know them, that there is a connection. Now, why that happens is, in that moment when we have a traumatic experience, you can imagine energy getting stuck in our body. As an example, when we look at animals, I love to take the example of animals because we can learn a lot from animals. When we look at animals, and let's imagine there is a lion trying to catch a deer. Okay, I don't know if a lion would catch a deer, but let's imagine real case scenario. Okay, we see a lion trying to catch a deer, and the lion is getting closer to the deer. The deer is like, oh my God, the lion is about to catch me. I'm going to die, in his mind. So oftentimes what we see is that deer will pretend to be dead. All of a sudden, it's just going to like freeze and pretend to be dead. Why? Because the lion, longer good, I will rather not eat that. Or the lion might be like, okay, great. The lion is, the deer is already dead. I will take that with me to my other lions. And in that moment where, the lion might be like, I'm going to take the deer with me to the other lions, or the lion goes away because it thinks it's that meat, the deer runs away. The deer has the moment to run away. Now, after the deer is in a safe space again, no lion is around, what do you see the animal do? They start to shake. They have a reaction where the traumatic experience that they just had from the freezing, where we think nothing is happening, but the freeze response is actually traumatic experience. There's a lot of energy that is built up, and that energy needs to be shaken out. So you see animals shake. Maybe you have had a similar experience in your life where you were shaking. I've had 2 situations in my life where I had no control over what my body was doing, and I realized it was a traumatic experience that my body was working through. Now, the problem is, as humans, though, we don't do it. We have a traumatic experience and we move on. We're like, happened, okay. Physically, we don't do anything, and people move on with their life. They go back to work, they go back to whatever is happening. They have never truly processed. They haven't released that stuck energy out of their body. Now, in women, we see a lot of times that energy gets stuck in their womb. And so I've done, for example, breath work around the womb with women. Women start crying, women start screaming, because all of the trauma that has been built up in their womb, all of a sudden gets released. It's insane what I've seen. It's incredible. And it's also crazy to think that so many women live with that stored trauma and have no clue. My mother, she had to have her uterus taken out. She had all types of hormonal health problems. I know why, because she went through so much in her life and she didn't know the stuff that I know now, right? So this is one important aspect when it comes to trauma and hormonal health. Oftentimes, hormonal health is obviously deeply connected to that too. So it's not only nutrition and training, it's important, but there comes the traumatic, the energetic work that needs to be applied too. And then we also have emotions. So we live in a society today where many of us have learned to not express our emotions, right? Example, let's call him Johnny. Little Johnny, 4 or 5 years old, is running around outside, falls on the floor and starts to cry. Knees hurting, right? Knees bleeding, knees hurting. Mom is coming. Johnny wants to cry and is about to cry. And mommy is like, no, Johnny, don't cry. You know, boys don't cry. Don't do that. It's not good. Now, Johnny makes that connection. Okay, wait, but I'm in pain. I fell on the floor, but mommy told me big boys don't cry. So now Johnny grows up. Obviously, this doesn't happen after one experience, but it happens over and over and over. Johnny grows up to be a 40-year-old man. And the pain might not be physical anymore, but it might be emotional. Maybe Johnny has met the love of his life and he closes himself up because he doesn't want to show emotions to his wife or to this woman, right, that he met. This is very similar to what happens to us as human beings, right? We feel something and we don't truly allow ourselves to sit in that emotion, to truly embody and feel it. And then we're looking for an escape. You see people going to alcohol, you see people going to food, you see people going to shopping, social media is not right? Mindless scrolling. You don't have to feel because it's a distraction in that moment. Right. That is another connection that has nothing to do with the food in particular. It actually has more to do with how are you allowing yourself to feel them, and are you allowing yourself to express them? And because a lot can come up, and this is something that I struggled with personally. I had an eating disorder for many years and I didn't realize that it wasn't the food. It was I couldn't just be with myself. I couldn't just sit still. When I started meditating years ago, I thought it was stupid. I was like, I cannot do this. I cannot sit still for a minute. I'm going to go crazy because my mind was going everywhere, and it's practice, so I hope that helps.
Yes. So Jessica is in Spain. They're having some Wi-Fi issues, so just kind of bear with. From time to time, you'll go in and out, but it's been a little bit more lately. But they've had some internet issues in Spain, so that's kind of why you're dropping just a little bit. But you're fine now.
Yeah. Hey guys. I'm gonna move here. Yeah, the Wi-Fi literally cut off today, so sorry about that, but hopefully it's gonna be okay.
Storms and Wi-Fi, gotta love it.
Yes.
So, what steps do you think are crucial for someone on that path to healing and letting go of that emotional baggage?
What steps are crucial? I mean, obviously, I believe in the power of having a mentor, having a coach, because I have my own coaches, I have my own mentors by my side. I'm myself a coach, right? And I truly believe it's this beautiful cycle of everyone helping one another. So I do think I wouldn't have come to where I am without the help of other people, because we all have our own blind spots, right? I definitely did a lot of the work on myself, but was only so far I could get until I needed some, these things are deeper layers of ourselves that sometimes are harder to understand about ourselves. I see the connection is a little bit unstable, but are we okay?
Yeah, it's for the most part, keeping up with you.
Okay. Okay. I'm so sorry, guys. I cannot,
It's
I
okay.
can't do anything about so yeah, having someone by your side that understands you, that can see the blind spots in you, and that can lead you through it step by step. The second thing is as well is becoming very honest with yourself. I think a lot of times I speak to a lot of people who think, oh, now that I know this stuff, I'm going to be good. I can start doing this. But we become so busy in life. And I know this about myself too, that sometimes we can work hours in a day and then it's the end of the day and you're tired and you want to go to bed and you just don't want to think about anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Being honest with yourself, but also prioritizing yourself and being like, okay, where can I squeeze these 15 minutes a day in where I do this work on myself? Where can I squeeze that hour in during the week or maybe every 2 weeks where it's only me time, where I truly take the time to understand me, right? I feel like we spend so much time understanding everything else and tools and techniques. But what about you understanding yourself first, right? And really allowing yourself for whatever comes up to feel that. Especially when it comes to trauma work, it's really important that we have a safe space. If that means working with a therapist that we feel like they are safe for me to share. I unfortunately did not have good experiences with therapists in the past. I did not feel safe and I knew it wasn't the time for me to share. So that's really important, checking in with yourself. How was your body responding to a person? Do you feel like, oh, you're open, you want to know more, you want to hear more, or do you feel like you're more closing up towards them, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is another important thing that definitely, we should be looking into. And then I would also recommend working with your body. What I mean with this is therapy, I highly support it because it's really good to understand so many aspects about ourselves. But therapy for many people can be re-traumatizing, which means our brain cannot distinguish between if it's happening right now or if it happened in the past. So if I were to tell you a traumatic experience of my childhood, my brain might think it's happening right now because I'm visualizing it, I'm telling you the details, and my brain might create the same traumatic response, maybe milder, but it will still re-traumatize itself. So what's important here is also working physically with your body, right? Embodiment practices like shaking and making sure that we don't just stay up in our head, but use our entire body, that it will help us to work with ourselves, if that makes sense. So I'm not sure if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Now, it takes a lot of energy in order to stay on track as an entrepreneur or even just as a mother or anybody. You got to have energy to be able to get through life. So, what would be like a secret recipe for regenerating your energy or keeping that energy alive?
Yes. You know what? There was a time in my life I thought I could just skip the basics and somehow I was going to get more energy. I'm going to say it over and over again. Sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people are like, this is boring, this is so basic, but it's true. And I've struggled with sleep since I can remember. Since I was a child, I was a very anxious sleeper. I had insomnia for many, many, many years in my life. And still today, to this day, I have to be very careful about my sleep hygiene. So sleeping is very sacred for me. I make sure I have the right environment, the right temperature, it's dark, I have earplugs in, like all of those things really help me create an environment where I can sleep. I have an Aura ring as well, which helps me understand my sleep and how ready I am in the morning. And it also helps me identify, okay, can I push myself in a day? Can I do a maybe harder workout, or should I do more yoga and relax? So I would definitely say, I've had clients who ask me, Jess, what is more important, working out or sleeping? I was like, if you need to skip sleep in order to work out, you want to sleep. Now, obviously, you also do want to move your body, but if you, for example, say, okay, I have to go to bed by 12, but my workout was scheduled at 5 a.m., I can tell you right now, can you sleep that extra hour that you will do the workout, right? So sleep above everything. Another important thing that I think a lot of times we do not think about is caffeine. Now, coffee, when it comes to women's health, actually can really mess with our hormones, right? So you see a lot of people drinking coffee on an empty stomach in the morning. Now, I've seen men do okay with that because it doesn't have the same effect as it does on women. But women, when they drink, a coffee on an empty stomach, it can really mess with your hormonal health, and it can actually in the long run make you more and more tired because you feel like you always need that extra caffeine in order for you to function properly. So my suggestion would be trying something else that has a similar effect. So I personally drink matcha. Matcha, what it does is it keeps your blood sugar stable, right? So you see, for example, with caffeine, it gives you this high and it drops again. Matcha has a stable line. So when I drink matcha, it still gives me this like energy boost, but it stays stable. I don't have the super high and I don't have the drop that usually coffee has. Coffee also, actually, when we drink a lot of coffee, it can deplete you of nutrients, right? So if you start eating healthier and you're eating all of these vegetables and fruits, but you're drinking a lot of caffeine, it will actually not absorb the nutrients as well. So that is another thing. You want to eat well for you to have the energy, right? So food is energy. So that is one important thing. If you're, not eating a good breakfast and you're eating a lot of baked goods or deep fried foods and a lot of like simple carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates are, for example, like donuts and a lot of white breads, right? Again, bread is not bad. I eat bread too, but it's more about the balance of food. But obviously, see food as energy. So what you eat, that's going to have an effect on how you feel too. So I would definitely say in the order of sleep, nutrition, movement, and then anything else like getting sunlight in the morning, right? When we wake up in the morning, that might be another sign of a hormonal imbalance, both in men and women. When you are very tired in the morning and it takes you like half an hour to an hour to truly wake up, that could be a sign that your body is not producing enough cortisol for you to wake up in the morning. Right. And so what you want to do is you kind of want to pay attention to that. And what can help is getting sunlight in the morning. Right. So even if it's still darkish, because we're in the winter times, right? Or like depending on where you're at, but it will probably still be a little bit of, darker in the morning. Even if it's cloudy, it's still going to sip a little bit of that sunlight through the clouds and have an effect on you. Right. Same thing in the evening. Your body, starts to produce melatonin in the evening, so that you can fall asleep and have a good restful sleep. Now, anything that hinders melatonin production are our screens, our phones, watching TV. So can you find 1 to 2 hours before you go to bed where there's no screens, no bright lights around you, so you help your body slow down, right? So I have blue light glasses, for example, which it blocks light, right? Which is really great because this way the blue light doesn't, enter. You can, if you don't have glasses, you can put a screen on your computer. I bought this blue light like thingy that you can put on, and you can also put your phone into dark mode after a certain time, or you can change the settings usually on your iPhone. If not, you also have an app that does it for you. Right. So these are a couple of things. And if you like to read, making sure that, you're reading bad where it's not like super, super bright, because the brighter it is for too long, your body will still think it's daylight. Right. So really just calming yourself down, trying not to do too crazy exercises, like 2 hours before sleep, because it will pump the adrenaline. You might have a harder time falling asleep too. Right. And also staying away from heavy meals in the evening, because your digestion is going to go crazy. That doesn't mean you're not supposed to eat in the evening. A lot of people think, oh, I shouldn't be eating anymore at all. That's not true, but it just like not too heavy and not too long before. Yeah, what I'm trying to say is not that there should be a break between your last meal and going to bed, around like 2-3 hours or something like that. I think That is what I wanted to
Yeah.
say.
Now, a lot of entrepreneurs travel. How do they keep up with their health and nutrition while on the road whenever grabbing that donut at the conference or stopping at that coffee shop might be the easiest thing for them? What are some tips on that?
Yes. I love this question because I think we talked about this as well. I traveled a lot over the last 2 to 3 years. Like when I mean with travel, I was somewhere else every month. And it has it can have a toll on your body, right? It's constantly, it's stress as well. Like traveling, anything that is out of the ordinary, let's say, is additional stress to the body. So first of all, finding a way to reduce that stress. If that means making sure you still incorporate your meditation routine, making sure you still find a way to sleep enough. These are things that are going to be really important, like quick breath work exercises. One of my favorite ones is it's called box breathing, which means you breathe in counting to, for example, let's say 4. You breathe in counting to 4, you hold counting to 4, you breathe out counting to 4, you hold counting to 4. And you do this, it's like imagining a box. This helps your nervous system calm down and really regulate your nervous system, right? So there is a couple of things that I love to do. You can do this in a plane, you can do this on the way to the airport, right? Many different things. One thing that I personally always love to bring with me is I actually pre-pack my oats. So I have like my Ziploc and I have my oats in there with my protein powder, because I know, like, for me, starting with a healthy breakfast is key. Like usually I try to avoid eating out for breakfast because I know if I do eat out and I eat something that might not be my regular balanced breakfast, I will not feel great. My energy is not going to be great. And I tend to make choices that are also not the best throughout the day because I'm hungrier. My blood sugar is all over the place. It's super imbalanced, right? And so I will try to look for quick energy sources. So making sure that first thing in the morning, I have a balanced breakfast. And usually hotels and Airbnbs will have like a water kettle, right? So it's super easy to prepare that. That is really an additional tip that I would say. Looking at restaurants, those healthier choices, asking yourself, okay, do I work or help me feel full, fill my body up, have enough protein, right? So these are some little things that I would definitely recommend. And then I personally love to bring my like mini bands. I don't know if you're familiar with this, to work out. Like even if I have only 5 minutes, I at least try to stretch or do something little, because it's also going to just help me feel better in that day when I start that day. Trying to drink as much water as possible. I know that oftentimes we can travel, we're socializing, we're at networking events, there might be alcohol around, but obviously I don't want to say stay away completely from alcohol, but alcohol is inflammatory. Especially women have a harder time metabolizing alcohol than men, because our bodies are smaller. We have, our bodies just work very differently. So just also paying attention to water intake, how much are you hydrating yourself, and kind of trying to balance it out with the alcohol consumption.
Now, you did say you brought up an interesting point about women's health. So this deserves a little bit of spotlight. What challenges do women face, say, on burnout or sicknesses that sometimes men don't face because they don't have a menstrual cycle?
Yeah. Actually, burnout is a lot more common in women than men. And it is for the reason that our differently. The thing is that our brain can change up to 25% throughout the month, which means the way that we process information, the way that we work, the way that we speak, the way that we present ourselves, the way that we socialize, our energy levels in terms of socializing, all of that changes. So there are certain, there are certain times of the month where our bodies are meant to do less, are meant to slow down. And when we don't do that, and when we go against that, we are more likely to keep giving from an empty cup. The worst time, let's say, that a lot of women experience is, it's called the luteal phase, the phase before your period starts. This is usually the time where most women really struggle. They feel like they're not as productive, their energy might be lower, they might be feeling moody, they might be feeling like socializing is a little bit harder. And so during this time, it's important to keep filling your cup up as much as possible. So if that means canceling a plan with a friend because you feel like you need to take a bath in the evening, or scheduling an extra massage for yourself, whatever it is that you can do to keep filling up that cup, even if you're still busy. Like, I know how it is. I'm an entrepreneur myself. I'm building a business, right? There are many moments where I don't have that choice to just be like, I'm just going to take the day off. Bye. Like, it doesn't happen, but that doesn't mean that I don't create that space for myself. So if I can have this extra half an hour in the evening for myself, or in the morning, or during the weekend, I make sure I create that space for me. And as an example, what happens in the luteal phase is, you can literally imagine our two dominant female sex hormones are estrogen and progesterone. These two are working hand in hand. Generally, during the first half of the cycle, our hormone estrogen is more dominant, which means that we have more energy, we're more creative, we're more outgoing. Estrogen is like this feel-good hormone, right? We all know estrogen. Then during the second half of the cycle, progesterone should be the dominant hormone. And I'm saying should because a lot of women do have an estrogen dominance because of high stress. But when progesterone is dominant, it literally shifts the way that you start thinking and the way that you feel. And it changes how your body needs food. It needs more food, right? And so I worked with a client once. She said to me, she thought she was bipolar, because the moment that she entered the luteal phase, she was like, I feel like a different person, Jess. And I'm like, yes, because she was trying to continue doing the same thing she was doing in the first half of the cycle. And she didn't allow herself to slow down and realize that her body needed different things, right? So even if you're an entrepreneur, I still believe there are small things that you can do here and there. For example, for me, work-wise, I try to stay away from like a lot of meetings, and I'd rather do admin stuff. I'd rather do a lot of more learning. I do a lot more things that just feel easy for me. My creativity is a lot lower during this time. I feel like coming up with creative ideas, recording videos and content for my Instagram, I don't feel that good with that. It just feels heavier for me. So I rather sit down, I do the tax stuff, or like anything else that I know organizing really helps me. So I tend to shift with the work tasks that I have. And that really helps me stay sane, not feel guilty if I feel like I can't get everything done, and understand that my body just has different needs throughout the month. So, and I do think this knowledge should become more and more important for women, so that they're aware of it, that it becomes normal in companies, so that when women are going through cycles, they have at least a little bit of freedom to be able to shift things around. That, I think, when we do that, burnout will decrease as well, because we are honoring our body, we are honoring our cycles, and we are working with our body instead of against it.
Yeah. Well, I feel we could talk for hours on the women's body and menopause and all the hormones and everything that goes on. It's different for men, and men have their own things too. But right before I go into the question and answer, I do want to make that special announcement that I was talking about. Now, we're very, very excited that we're hosting our first inaugural live event in Pensacola this year, entitled Horizon 2024 Coastal Synergy Summit, a gathering of minds and markets. So this is going to be over Labor Day weekend, August 30th to September 1st, and you'll get to see beautiful Pensacola. It's a very, very vibrant backdrop. And this will mark a transformative journey for our leaders in sales, health, technology, marketing, and more. So get to immerse yourself in a melting pot of ideas where industry trailblazers and visionary thinkers converge to share their insights and forge new paths. So from electrifying talks by top-tier experts such as yourself, to exhilarating opportunities of pitching your brainchild to a panel of seasoned professionals. The summit isn't just an event, it's a nexus of opportunity, learning, and growth. So join us for this unparalleled experience where minds and markets meet to redefine the horizons of business and innovation. Your pathway to entrepreneurial excellence awaits. So now that's our big announcement. So that is something that we've been waiting to say out, and we're looking for speakers and everything for that event. But I don't want to take the focus away from you. Back to you. So now we're going to open it up for question and answers. Thank you, Jessica, for hosting this too.
Thank you. I see there is a question by Keisha. Is it possible to provide research about coffee and how it affects women and hormones, please? Yes, so I have this information by the book In the Flow. In the Flow describes that even more in detail. I literally, the author's name just slipped my mind, but check out In the Flow. This is one of the books that talks about cycle syncing, talks about coffee as well, and hormones and how it affects her body. And she's citing scientific research behind it too. So not only is it a great book, but it also cites all of that, that research that is behind her statements.
Thank you so very much, and an excellent presentation. Thank you.
So much, Keisha. I appreciate you.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody else have any more questions? Okay.
Of course, if anyone wants to read, you can also reach out to me personally. I'm happy to.
And now your next month, you're going to have a guest speaker. Tell us a little bit about your guest speaker.
Yes. So next month, I will be in your shoes and I'm going to be interviewing people from next month on. And my first guest speaker is my friend, mentor, and coach, Hannah Bartlett. She is the founder of the Integrative School of Healing, and she is an amazing entrepreneur. She has taught me a lot about health as well, and has really helped me shift not only my mindset, but my business to the next level as well. So I think she's a wealth of knowledge, and I'm very excited to have her on. She, is an incredible human being as well, also moving to the same city as I am in right now. So I'm very excited we're going to be neighbors.
Good.
So yeah, I definitely recommend coming in, and you're going to learn a lot from her too. So I'm very excited to do this together with her.
Good. I'm excited to pass on the reins to interview. But so now we also do have Cassie Millhouse coming up next Thursday. Is going to be her. She's going to bring us into the world of tech. And then the following week after, we'll be with Fritz Collinet talking about branding and marketing. Some big things for all entrepreneurs to be part of. Tech is taking over, and let's face it, you don't get a whole lot of attention to your business without marketing or branding. So very, very good topics. Finance, health, tech, and marketing are our four main podcasts. So those are very, very important. And as you know, we'll add more and more as time goes on. So thank you once again, Jessica, for being here with me today. I look forward to learning about Hannah and all that y'all come up with next month.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for everyone who is here and who's watching the recording. And I'm looking forward to everything that's about to come, and to the event. That sounds amazing.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.